I had shivers down my spine anytime Mia Goth screamed in this film. She has a
100%.
scream that is like I'm literally getting goosebumps right now. I don't think you can see that. But like she has a scream that will just unsettle you to your core. A scream that will literally just shake you as a person and just make you just terrified. Hello and welcome to the movie podcast at Tiff. My name is Daniel, and today we are reviewing Pearl. Joining alongside me today on this review is the man born to be on the big screen. It's Anthony. Hello, Anthony.
Hello.
Oh, that's a very just.
It's my Hollywood hello. It's
I like it.
like it's just my music, not kind of like that old school golden age, how they did it back in the 1930s and 40s.
Yeah, I like it. I do
Hopefully,
like it. I think it's very fitting for this film, with the style and the look of this movie. Even though it takes place in 1918, it does have a very vintage, old Hollywood feel to it. But we're going to be talking all about it because, of course, this is the movie podcast. We are at the Toronto International Film Festival. We've been watching a lot of movies, and we have a lot of reviews and episodes coming your way. So if you want to stay on top of everything that we're doing right now, make sure you're following us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd at the movie podcast. You can also write into the show at hello at themoviepodcast.ca. Let us know if you're at TIFF. Also join our Discord. We're having some great conversations there about Game of Thrones, She-Hulk, Rings of Power. There's lots of condos happening. If you're at TIFF, please let us know. Maybe we can meet up. Maybe we could say hello and just let us know what you're watching. It's going to be a very, very busy time. So, we're just kind of going with the flow. So there's lots happening. So you're going to see lots of episodes coming out. So just stay on top of it as much as you can. That's what we're trying to do. That's how we're staying afloat. How are you feeling in TIFF season, Anthony?
I'm very anxious. There's a lot of movies coming out. There's so much things to do. I feel like I'm at the Cheesecake Factory, and you ever look at the Cheesecake Factory menu? It's like everything you
Yeah.
ever wanted. So kind of that's what TIFF is right now for us. We see every single movie. We want to go. We don't want to miss anything. We're trying to plan our days. But yeah, just a little anxiety attack from this festival.
Yeah. I totally get it. I mean, we're doing our best. We have lots of incredible episodes that you're going to be able to listen to very soon. We also have a lot of incredible episodes that you can listen to right now and watch on youtube.com/the movie podcast. The ones that I really want to make sure you check out, we had the amazing opportunity to check out the Rings of Power at the Hollywood premiere, thanks to our friends at Prime Video Canada. Go check that out. Go check out all of our coverage, what we thought of the show in our review, and also our 3-part interview series with the cast and creators behind the show. You don't want to miss it. We're loving the show. And it's been really cool to see, the movie podcast featured in a lot of the different, ads for the show. I mean, that's a big step for us as I say a smaller outlet, but I guess I should mostly say a newer outlet because we've only been around for about 3 years. But it's pretty amazing to see us up there alongside, big websites, big, trades, because we're doing our best. So it means a lot to us. It's pretty amazing to see that. But enough about us. We want to talk about Pearl. Of course, Pearl is the extraordinary origin story of the iconic villain and follow up to the year's most acclaimed horror film. You know how much we loved X on the movie podcast all the way back in March. And it's really cool that we get to have a prequel film in the same year. Of course, this film is directed by Ty West. It stars Mia Goth, David Corenswet, Tandi Wright, Matthew Sunderland, and Emma Jenkins-Purro. Pearl is going to be available to watch at TIFF, so that's how we're watching it, starting September 12th. And it's going to be releasing in theaters on September 16th, courtesy of VVS here in Canada and A24 in the United States. So there's lots to look forward to. The movies don't stop. And of course, with TIFF happening, there's so much coming your way. So make sure you stay tuned for all of it. This film, I'll give a really quick synopsis, then I'm going to kick it to Anthony for a first reaction. Like I said, this is the prequel to X. We learned all about Pearl, and her role in the X film, and now we're getting to see, who she is. This film takes place in 1918. Pearl has these desires and admirations to be on the big screen, to be a star, and we kind of see her get what she wants, but also get into some trouble and commits some crimes. I'll just be honest with you. She commits a lot of crimes along the way. So, Anthony, let us know how you're feeling about Pearl. Give us your first reaction. And of course, if you want to remind the audience, if this is the first time you're listening to the show, about how much, we kind of really started to love X on the drive home after the theater.
Yeah, like what can I say about Pearl? Pearl is absolutely great. It's a great follow up to X. Coming out of X back in February, it was a movie that really kind of like grew on us. And as we went home, and if you listen to our review on X, we started to like it more and more and more. With this movie, the expectation going in was we were going to like it because it's a prequel film. It took place, well, it was recorded and shot at the same time as X was. Same directors, same writers. They actually had this plan. So I didn't know how much I was going to like it. Today, going in, I can absolutely say this was fantastic. It was completely blew my expectations away on what Ty did with this genre of movie, because with X we got that 70s horror vibe, but with Pearl we get this old Hollywood feel, kind of like Wizard of Oz time period of movies,
Yeah.
but with a horror aspect. And there are performances in this movie that is absolutely like, it took me right out. Like, it just, Mia Goth,
In a good way.
in a good
In
way.
a good way.
Mia Goth, her performance in X was great, but this is probably her best performance. And if you guys go watch this, you will see there is a sequence which lasts about 6 minutes, and I was so taken into that sequence, I forgot about what the whole movie was, and she was just acting, and it was so raw and emotional, and it just wasn't didn't feel like this movie warranted this performance, because it was so out of left field. You know what I'm saying? Like, based
Yeah.
on her performances in her performance in X, this was completely out of left field. She took this character Pearl, and she gave you this, you know, feeling of naiveness, living in the country, trying to be this big star. But then there are parts of this movie where you just see this raw twist, this raw emotion. And I'm like, man, if she's not nominated for an Academy Award, like, we're doing something wrong. Because that whole sequence, it just felt like something I would have saw in like an AFI performance, like top performances ever. Because you
Yeah.
see her, she goes through so many different emotional states, and then you're just really drawn into empathy for her. But then you realize, man, she's also a murderer.
She's evil. Yeah.
She's
She's
kind of
very evil.
I don't know if she's evil. She's different. She's unique.
Yeah. She's unique.
She's
Yeah. We'll
unique.
call her unique. Sure. She's unique.
But like, Ty did a fantastic job just drawing you into the whole idea of her family living on the farm, the sequences of just old Hollywood in love with films of that time period, or they call it the pictures, as they say in the
We're
1970s.
going to the
I kind of
pictures.
like I kind of like thought about, man, did they actually have projectors during that time? Because this is happening during World War One, so I was kind of questioning how the validity of these theaters were back in that time period. But who knows? It still worked for this film.
Yeah,
Um,
and the movies they were showing too, they're like shorts. They're not even movies. They're just like, here's this reel of people dancing. You know what
exactly,
I mean?
exactly.
It's not like it's like a full on production of anything. But
Right. But
yeah,
you will see the foreshadowing of what leads to X. You will see alligators. You will see death. You will see
it's death.
murders. I would say it's not as vividly gruesome as X, because I feel like X was still playing on that 70s horror genre. Well, this
Right.
kind of has more tamed horror, but it's still, I think the performance for me is what really scared the shit out of me. It's her
Yeah.
performance and how she took her character, who was like this lovable girl, really. Like, you kind of fall in love with her. She loves her animals. She names them. She performs for them. But then things that get in her way, or how she really feels about living on a farm with her parents and really trying to escape that,
Yeah.
says a lot about who she ends up being.
Right. What I will say, My spine was just, I had shivers down my spine anytime Mia Goth screamed in this film. She has a
100%.
scream that is like, I'm literally getting goosebumps right now. I don't think you could see that. But like, she has a scream that will just unsettle you to your core. A scream that will literally just shake you as a person and just make you just terrified. And I remember every time she did it, I would look at you and we would just have like this nervous kind of laughter, like, oh my God, this is like such a raw performance from Mia Goth. And it is just phenomenal. It's one of the year's best performances. She scared the shit out of me, like you said, Anthony. She is so good in this film. And we already knew that she was great in X when she played her character in that film, and then she also did dual roles as Pearl as well, the older version of Pearl. But seeing Pearl, like, in kind of all her glory, or trying to get glory in her young days, it's scary. And what this film I think does so brilliantly is playing with those different genres, playing with those different themes, where yes, the gore was more over the top in X, but it also played to the genre and what Ty West was playing off of, it being a 70s horror kind of gore fest type of film. Where this one, like you said, Anthony, this is a very classic Hollywood feel to it. The way the transitions are, the way the cuts are, the way it lingers on certain shots, even the performances. It's very, very like classic, like, I'm gonna make it in Hollywood someday. Like it's like that. And that's what makes it scarier, because it's that, but it's with the twist of a horror film, and with the twist of somebody in this film who is committing these scary and just horrifying acts. That makes it scarier for me. This film, I was a lot more scared watching it and more disturbed watching it than X, because of the genre that it takes place in. It gives you this false sense of safety, and then when shit starts to go down, you're just like, oh my God, I'm watching this. I'm seeing this happen. This is terrifying. Obviously, we're not getting into any spoilers today, but it is very, very creepy. And just when you think this movie is like, oh, they're holding back, they're not. Because the last, I would say, 30 minutes of this film are some of the most unsettled I've ever been in a movie theater. And that is, it's a monologue Anthony's talking about, is the end credits of the movie. It's so much that leads up to everything. And, you and I left this theater, Anthony, and we were just like, that was a damn great movie. And we're just like, I want another one. I want to learn more. I
Yeah.
want to know where this story is. I want to see more connective to, I want to see where does it go from here. Like, there are so many places it could go. And Ty, if you're listening to this review, if you're in Toronto, hit us up, come say hello, or we'll love to hit you up. I just curious, is this a trilogy? Is there another film happening? Because this movie does what so many prequels, I think, you know, what so many prequels miss, is that it gets to the heart of who this character is, and it's okay to try and do something different, because this movie is a different genre than X. Yes, it's a horror film. Yes, there's violence and gore and blood in this film, but these X and Pearl are two very different movies, part of this, that have the same connective tissue within them. And it's really, really cool to see that, because you're telling a story that's really interesting. You care about Pearl, and then you're scared of Pearl, and then you're like, I'm going to run from her. And this movie has a lot of moments, and I was telling you this too, Anthony, that reminded me of Zodiac, where this movie made me feel unsafe when the sun is out, when it's bright and sunny outside. You're watching things happening, and I'm like, this is so unsettling. I am so uncomfortable. And it goes back to that picnic scene in Zodiac. For those of you who've seen it, you know what I'm talking about, and how uncomfortable and how scary that is. And this movie is a movie that makes you feel like that for the majority of it. Um, but what a performance by Mia Goth. I think that's where I just keep going back to. This is her film. This is her vehicle. She steals the show. She's in every scene of this movie. And she owns it. She is so damn good in this movie.
Yeah, like there are sequences in here, and I think what Ty does really well is he takes these sequences and he doesn't involve cuts to these sequences. They're very long and almost these one shots, which adds this perspective of a horror film that you don't really get a lot of. It's a lot of quick cuts with horror. It's, jump here and jump there and scream here and scream there. Well, this one is these long winded sequences that you just kind of are drawn into, especially because of the
Yep.
time period. Getting back to her crying, I've never heard anyone cry like that on screen. It felt real,
Yes.
and it was the first time I watched a films and I watched someone cry where I'm like, please, I don't want to listen to this anymore. Not because it was
Yeah.
annoying, it was just it hurt me. Like it was very
Yeah.
emotional to me because it felt real. It felt like, man, this is a depth of performance she's really drawing out of.
Yeah.
Um, I think you mentioned one thing that uh, you mentioned in the car was I don't think this movie would have done well if X didn't come out first.
Definitely.
You know,
Definitely
like
that.
if we got Mia Goth, like if we got Pearl and Mia Goth, I don't think it would have worked well enough rather than having X come out first and then Pearl.
Definitely. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think you need to have X to come out to, to really appreciate, what this is setting up. Because if we got Pearl first, we would have seen everything through Pearl's perspective, where now we're seeing this afterwards. And it reminds me a little bit of Fear Street in the sense of here is a film that is taking place in a completely different time period from the first movie, but we're going back to tell a story to move the story forward. We have to go back, which I think is really cool, and it's a damn good movie. Now, on the movie podcast during TIFF, we are not giving final recommendations. This movie does have a date. If you do want to see it, it's coming out on September 16th. But I will say, is for my I guess final say, and you could kick it as a final say as well, that Anthony, this is a phenomenal film. This movie is scary. This movie will make you feel unsettled. And it's going right beside X. I'm seeing these as, as 1 and 2 beside each other of just some of the best horror that we've gone in recent years. So one of my favorite films of the year. And me, if you're a long time listener of the show, I can't really say that I'm not a big horror person anymore because some of my favorite movies have all been horror films this year. And, Pearl is up there. And I really think, I know it has a recency bias, but I'm really curious to see after some time, is Pearl going to be the film that's, you know, I would just put on over X, or which one is it going to be that I watch? Because such two phenomenal films coming out from Ty West this year, and I would love to see more from him, and I would love to see more in this universe. So I just absolutely loved it. Anthony,
I'm in the same boat. The originality that can't comes out of this franchise now. I'm going to call it a franchise because it really does. Like I really
yeah,
want a third version of this. I know they're doing, um, I guess, a sequel to X. I think that was like set by A24 or said by A24 a
yeah,
while ago.
or was it Pearl, or
Or
was it Pearl that was the sequel? I'm
oh,
wondering.
yeah,
I'm
like
curious.
it makes sense to have three films. But yeah, like this is a movie that just it accompanies X in such and it del- it just sets it in motion to make this probably one of the best horror franchises that we've seen since Scream, I would say.
Yeah,
Um,
it's up there.
it is up there because it just really drives you in, and especially with these performances, and especially Mia Goth, who is also credited as a writer on
Yep.
this movie. It's just so well done, and I can't give it enough praise. I think I like it more than X, just because of it's a really unique story that we haven't seen before. And Ty West, bravo, you did a fantastic job just creating this story for us.
Yeah. Hey, and if David Corenswet wants to play Superman one day, he
That's
has to look for it
that's
100%.
that's another
So,
thing we noticed that I looked over to Daniel. I'm like, that's your Superman. This guy
yeah.
he kind of looks like Henry Cavill, but he is very Supermanish in this film. He has like this stature and this presence, the hair, the eyes, the
Yeah.
even the mustache. I'm like, if you just shave that mustache, it's keep the mustache. I don't care. Like this guy could be,
Yeah.
old school Superman, golden age Superman.
Golden Age Superman,
But
we could see it. We could so see it.
everyone in this movie, their performances were great, and you're going to be
Yeah.
like laughing at points, you're going to be crying at points, you're going to be scared at points. But I think overall, if you're a fan of X, you are going to like this movie because it's a great
Oh,
accompany
definitely.
to that film.
Easily. Thank you so much for listening to the movie podcast review of Pearl. Of course, it is playing at TIFF right now. You could get tickets for it if they are available because they are going fast. It's going to be releasing in theaters on September 16th. And I want to say thank you to our friends at VVS for inviting us to watch this film. Of course, we are at the Toronto International Film Festival, so look forward to all of our coverage. We have lots going on the movie podcast. So make sure you're following us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube and join our Discord because we're having some great conversations going in there. That was this time with the movie podcast, and we'll see you next.